Yo, 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 what is going on, IK Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder. We are back again for another dope sauce, dopity Infinity Kingdom video. Today we're going to be taking a look at, finally, the one and only Hippolyta. Has been very requested for our Most Used ToK series once we get to our Fire Element, thankfully now, as our third Immortal that we're rolling out here for their Most Used ToK skills. Before we get started, as always, make sure you guys sub to the channel, hit that like button, of course, ring that notification bell to get updates when we have new content coming out. And here we go. So for Hippolyta, thankfully, we only had to go out to server 10. As always, our bare minimum thresholds, what we pulled data from on the servers, is the first 45 players at the minimum 160k troop power, along with that they have to be running at least 3 main immortals from that same element plus a same elemental dragon as well, so that way we just have less margin of error and more accuracy when we're pulling data on the ToK skills they're using for that element type. Okay, here we go. Number 4 most used skill for Hippolyta is Weakness, coming in at a total of 8 times used. Number 3 most used ToK skill, Rage Blessing, 9 times used. Number 2 most used ToK skill, Berserk, at 10 times used. So you're kind of noticing a short, very close trend here as far as the plus minuses. Now, the most used ToK skill on Hippolyta is Fighting Will, 11. So again, not too much of a surprise in how many times each of these are being used. With Hippolyta, a little bit more spread out. Right, we actually had about 4 or 5 of these were 7s that were being used across the board. And again, some high 5s and 6s as well that we ended up seeing there. So again, a little more spread out, almost completely different than what we saw comparing to Empress Wu, who was just a ballpark out of the way with certain specific ToK skills being favored more. And we ended up seeing extremely high usage. Here with Hippolyta, a little more diverse and spread out. Okay. Let's go in game and take a look. We'll look at skill, stats, and then we'll go and take a look at the top 3 most used ToK skills and kind of explain reasonings why. Flaming Smite. Fires heavenly fire 5 times, each time inflicting physical damage at a rate of 96, or I should say 36%, up to 120% on a random enemy troop, and reducing its energy by 100 and attack speed by 10% stackable for 6 seconds. Okay, so she fires 5 times, each doing physical damage on a random troop, and reducing each of those random troops' energy by 100 and attack speed by 10%. These are stackable for 6 seconds. Right? So, now most likely, I would say the more likely thing you're going to see is like a 20% stack. Right? So you might see something, for example, like reducing energy by, maybe to 200, attack speed by 20%. I think hitting 2 stacks on an immortal is more likely than 3. I'm sure 3 could happen, but I do think that you're more than likely going to be seeing, again, because if they fire this 5 times, you can get the spread. Maybe you get 2 of these that do 2 and 1 that do 1, right? I think that's kind of more of the ideal situation. Or if you have everyone spread and takes a hit, and then 1 takes a second hit, maybe 2 take 1 hit, and then 1 takes 3 hits. I mean, again, there's a couple ways you can see it going, but still, gotta love the skill. Okay, next, let's look at some of the stats. We have strength at 292, intelligence 232, so not that big of a difference, but in the actual stat numbers, they are. Now, we're seeing a very similar trend here, right? Physical attack, 1,086. Again, this is just based on my stats that I have her at the moment. Again, once they're kind of maxed, we'll retake a look at vanilla stats once we kind of get to that max base level. But for now, you're seeing physical attack, arguably almost 4 times the amount of magical attack. Physical defense is pretty high, but magic defense, right? That's an interesting trend we've seen where if physical attack or if magic attack is the highest, then it's the opposite strength or intelligence defense stat that we've been seeing at least consistently for a good amount come in at number 2, or for the second highest stat, at least when comparing those two fields with strength and intelligence. Okay, so now that we know that Hippolyta being more physical oriented, let's take a look at ToK. We'll look at Rage, Blessing, Berserk, and Fighting Will. Starting with Rage Blessing. This is the big guy. Increases the energy regen speed of 3 random enemy units by 15% up to 50% for the first 12 seconds of battle. I think this is just a good universal skill, right? For 3 random units, that means that at least 3 of your units could be getting this skill. and up to 50% regeneration for 12 seconds. Maybe this allows for your Hippolyta and maybe a few of your other immortals to get an additional skill proc prior to your opponents. So again, I do like Rage Blessing because I think Rage Blessing kind of factors into some of the other energy regen skills that we've seen as well. Okay, next is Berserk. Oh gosh, where's my Berserk now? I always have to remember. It throws me off because it's Berserk, but it has healing plus signs around it. I just don't know if that is Berserk-like. Anyway, it's just a random thought on the icon image. Okay. Increases the attack speed of all your units by 3%, up to 10%, and restores a small amount of HP with every successful normal attack. That rate is 9% up to 30%. Each immortal can only equip one, as this is an aura skill. So I think Berserk just plays right into, again, increasing attack speed and with energy regen, right, again, still plays strongly into Hippolyta's toolkit. Okay, now let's look at Fighting Will. Fighting Will is the guy with the, trying to go Super Saiyan. Every 20% drop in the number of soldiers will deal physical damage to all enemies, and has a 13.5% chance of rooting them for 6 seconds. Now, again, my assumption has always been with this skill, and I don't know how I just had this random thought, but has always been that a 20% drop in the number of soldiers. I wonder if this is universal. I wonder if this goes off of the max HP bar at the top, instead of the individual immortals HP bar, is now actually what I'm thinking, even though I don't think we ever really designated that. But now that's kind of what I'm thinking because you specifically have the percentage-based bar at the top for each of the marches compared to having a specific or a visually showing percentage bar per each immortal. So now I'm kind of thinking that it goes off of the overall bar, and people are hearing me say this and they're like, wow, maybe Boss was thinking that it applied to each individual immortal. I will tell you I actually did. Until now, I've read this for like the 20th time, and I've had a revelation of a thought. But beyond that, if you did think I was referring to that, good on you. Okay, to all enemies, and has a 13.5% up to 45% chance of rooting them for 6 seconds. Right, will deal damage 45% up to 150% to all enemies at each 20% drop. Again, I just think that this is, I just think Fighting Will is a good universal skill. Right, no matter how you look at it, it's essentially free damage. And it's going to hit them 4 times, and it has the chance to root, which I think the chance for CC, once you get it to max level, is not bad. And the fact that it just does a base AoE damage 4 times, right, which would bring this up to about 600%, and you at least have a chance of it rooting. I mean, even if it roots once or twice, you know, I still think that's a good chance. So again, I like the CC potential that Fighting Will does. Something more universal, not necessarily specific to Hippolyta per se. Okay. That rounds out our top 3 most used ToK skills here for Hippolyta, which is Rage Blessing, Berserk, and Fighting Will. Let me know what you guys think in those comments down below. Do you like these top 3 most used skills? Did you expect these 3 to be the most used skills? And then do you have different skills that you like and you find to be maybe more viable than these 3 skills? Let me know anything and everything you guys are thinking in those comments below. That is it for us here on our 3rd Fire Immortal within our Fire Element series for, well, I should say, run for composition for our most used ToK skills series. That's it from me. I'm out. Until next time, we'll catch y'all later.